Please help me welcome Matthew Scullion back to the stage to kick off our next panel.
And Chris from Deloitte and Snowflake to discuss the future of AI and data at scale. Gentlemen, please join me. Yes, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, thank you. Francisco, thank you. Make yourselves comfortable, gentlemen. Oh, you're here, Francisco. I'm sorry. Otherwise, you're miles away. I'm sorry. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to have you both here. We're proud to have deep partnerships with both Deloitte and Snowflake, and I've had the pleasure of working, certainly with you, Chris, for a number of years, and Francisco, getting to know the team at Deloitte over the last couple of years has been an absolute privilege. We're going to have an exciting conversation about AI and analytics and what you guys see as industry leaders in this category. But let's start off hearing a bit about yourselves. So, Chris, if we start with you, if you could just introduce yourself for me and give me some observations on what you've heard so far.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. My name is Chris Degnan. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Snowflake. I have the unique experience of being the first sales rep Snowflake ever had. So, to your point, we've had a very long partnership with you, Matthew. I think you were Matillion for something else, and I won't say what it was. And but we're super happy for the partnership, and it's been awesome. I think today, listening to the announcements that Kieran you talked about was awesome. Christian is one of my peers, and I'm always amazed at what our joint companies are doing together. So I'm super excited to see what comes.
Fantastic. And Francisco, if you could introduce yourself and tell us why you're so passionate about this topic area.
Thank you also for the opportunity to be here. I'm Francisco Barroso. I'm a 25-year veteran at Deloitte, and I lead our data and AI business. And being part of a $60 billion global services organization, this is the fastest segment in our business. And so it's a great pleasure to be leading that area of our organization.
Fantastic. So two business leaders right where the rubber hits the road of all these conversations about data innovation. So we're going to have a great chat about using data at scale and AI. And perhaps, Francisco, if we could start with you. I think in your position at one of the world's leading GSIs and practices around analytics and AI, you get to hear firsthand customer stories from our joint customers and from many more, and also see the macro trends of what's going on across data analytics and AI. So what are some of those stories and trends that you're seeing?
Absolutely. So I'll start with AI is pervasive. And as I look at the last several years, COVID revolutionized the world and got AI to accelerate very, very broadly. As I think of use cases, and these vary across industries, I'll use drug discovery as an example. We've seen the industry leap forward somewhere between 5 and 10 years. More broadly, as I think of the amount of investment that's going into AI over the last 6 quarters, I think that we're looking at $10 to $15 billion consistently and growing, and so crazy. As I think of the number of startups that are embracing AI, there are data-first, AI-first organizations. Just, I think 2 weeks ago, NVIDIA announced that just on the NVIDIA stack, there are 8,500 global organizations that are AI-centric startups. And so the numbers are overwhelming. Our own research, we surveyed 2,800 clients last year. And out of these 2,800 organizations, 54% of them shared with us that they've gotten to adopting 2 to 6 real-world use cases that are getting to business value, business outcomes, which is really what it's all about. And so AI is pervasive. We talked earlier about talent and the need to morph the technology tool set to embrace more talent getting exposure to these platforms. And that's really, really critical, because the last thing that I'll share is that is consistently the biggest challenge that our clients are sharing with us, the shortage of talent.
And is it talent on the data science side? Is it talent on the making data ready for data science, the making data useful and business-ready data conversation we're having today, or both? What do you say?
I would say it's across the board. I would say on the data engineering side, there's been talent that's been more comfortable, and the evolution over there has been more progressive. On the AI side, it's more significant.
Okay, well, Francisco, thanks for those amazing industry insights. And Chris, of course, you and I both get to work with some of the world's most amazing and innovative companies. It was fabulous to have 3 clients on the stage a few minutes ago, all joint customers between Matillion and Snowflake. And I know Snowflake has been leaning in this area, adding a lot of support for data science workloads. What's driving that? What are customers asking for here?
Well, I think as I look across our customer base, I think one of the biggest issues is silos of data. I think our customers have so many different silos of data, and they want to, what makes data science actually better is access to data. And I think our joint offerings together have really helped bring both structured, unstructured, semi-structured data all into a single platform in Snowflake, and Matillion is really key in helping us do that and enabling the lines of business to get access to that data faster. And that's really what I see across our customer base. And honestly, I see the journey just beginning now, where customers are just realizing the art of the possible, which is super cool to watch.
Okay, well, that's fantastic, and we're pleased to be going on that journey with you, Chris. So, gentlemen, one of the themes that we see here at Matillion is that the AI and machine learning algorithms that we're talking about, and if we have time, we'll go back to some of the real-world ramifications of those. But they're only as good as the data we can fuel them with. There's that old-fashioned phrase, garbage in, garbage out. But I think it still all comes down to the quality of the data. Our theme at this conference is data productivity, and I'd love to know what some of the creative ways that you've seen of people getting their data business ready to feed these algorithms. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, we do a lot of advising of clients, and so some trends that we're seeing, the role of the chief data officer, the chief analytics officer is of increasing importance and complexity. They play a critical role in enabling the flywheel across these organizations. As we think of where organizations begin having a clear strategy, so what to tackle, why to tackle it, that points you to the data sets that you need to go after. Once you have clarity on the data sets, having a clear data stack and disciplined data ops to go after that data. As you begin to tackle that data, I love how many comments there were about silos or unsiloing. Breaking the functional silos, that's being a traditional huge challenge in the industry. And the silos are not just within the walls of an organization. The silos extend across the ecosystem of partners that you collaborate. And so we see that data sharing, and not just data sharing, but sharing of insights, it's really taken off. And so those are some of the ways in which we're seeing clients tackling the difficulty of getting to clean, cross-functional, data that they can unlock and get to insights.
And Francisco, if I may, you and I were talking about this as we prepared for this fireside chat today. And only share what you feel comfortable sharing here. But we heard Fig reading out some of the feedback back from our digital audience joining us across the world today around what were the choke points for them in getting data business ready to fuel AI, machine learning, and data science. And if you conflated a couple of those categories, it was basically around the data engineering side from it. And I think you're uniquely positioned to see this. For every AI day's work we do, how much data engineering are we doing? And how do you see that?
A lot, yeah. I oversee, again, a large P&L, and the composition of our revenue very much, I would say, mimics where the effort is being spent. And so 80% of today's effort is really being spent in unlocking data. Clients want to minimize that effort, because the more you compress that, the greater the amount of time, resources that you can devote to tapping into value. And so we see that in our business. We see AI growing, but as AI grows, also the hunger and the thirst for data, it's only increasing. So that data productivity is at the essence of getting to the new frontiers.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Francisco. And Chris, you and I have spoken about this many times on a macro level, but also down at an individual customer level. What do you see in terms of that quest we all have to make people productive with data, and how does that impact your customers and our joint customers?
Yeah, one of our joint customers is Western Union. They actually recently spoke at our analyst day to our public investors, and it was awesome to hear from them of kind of some of the things they're doing, and they're loading, with Matillion and Snowflake, secure customer records jointly into Snowflake. And they're, again, we talked about silos. Mm-hmm. They're removing those data silos with the joint offering between Snowflake and Matillion, and I think they're then preparing multiple different ML models using Snowflake and Matillion. And I think it all comes down to giving these data scientists, data engineers access to the data, and I think that's what we're doing, and I think that's the exciting part of what we're starting to see. So I think as Christian said up there with Kieran earlier, it's allowing these people to potentially make money off of data that they weren't making money off of before, and I think that's probably the most exciting thing that I talk to people about today. I talk to VPs of sales about creating new revenue streams. Before I was just selling the data warehouse, like early days of Snowflake. Now I'm selling something where I'm saying, hey, we can create revenue streams. And that's exciting, and that's what Western Union is doing with our joint solution.
It's an amazing story at Western Union, isn't it? Our data is revolutionizing the way business is done. And pivoting off script for a moment, so I hope I don't catch you out here, Francisco, but Chris has just been talking about the world is changing of commerce with data, but also perhaps closer to home for all of us over the last couple of years. We were discussing yesterday the real-world impact of data science fueled by business-ready data around the COVID pandemic and life sciences and developments of vaccines. Can you just bring that to life to me, that conversation we had real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that COVID was a great example. I would say sometimes we would refer to necessity is the mother of invention. I think COVID was a great example. As we look at the time to perform drug discovery, drug approval, clinical trials, commercialization, supply chain, distribution of the drug, with all the incredible challenges that we've overcome, AI was on the foundation of all of that. That is the largest portfolio that we serve from a commercial perspective.
The life sciences space.
Yeah, life sciences, out of 13 sectors I oversee, that is our top sector, and I think it's a function of the necessity, but it's also a function of the broad adoption that, and the way in which AI and insights are revolutionizing the industry.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, it was just an interesting juxtapose, the way Chris described how Western Union, a business that's been around for many decades, transforming with the power of data and AI, but then also how, vaccines substantially develop quicker off the back of AI,
Absolutely.
Actual lives saved, all through the putting data to work in a way that helps humanity move forward. And because I got so excited about that conversation, gentlemen, of course, the big red clock is now threatening us, so we better hurry up. But a quick parting shot before we take some questions from the audience. Let's fast forward. We picked a time scale of 15 years, which is pretty healthy in technology terms. We could achieve a lot in that time. 15 years' time, AI is all around us. Everything we log on to, everything we do being guided and assisted by machine learning and AI algorithms. That's the future. It'll happen at some point. What do you guys think as the tipping point? Chris, should we start with you there? What's the unlock for that brave new world?
Well, even yesterday I just had this conversation with another company. Snowflake's a consumption-based revenue company, and we use AI and ML to actually predict revenue. And the old world, if you will, is SaaS or ARR, and now people are saying, hey, how do we become a consumption-based revenue company? And so like I said, my conversations are changing daily, and who I'm talking to, and so talking to the CFO about how they can transition the company into a consumption-based model with AI and ML, because they do have to predict. They have to guide their investors, Wall Street, whomever, and using those types of things. So the opportunity ahead of us is just enormous around the ways that we can innovate on businesses using AI and ML, and having a central repository for data. So.
Chris, thanks for that. The way we do business, engage, and monetize being changed forever with AI and ML. And Francisco, the tipping point that unlocks pervasiveness in AI.
I think we're getting very close. I think that step change right now, it's not incremental, it's beginning to be exponential. I view that within the next 3 to 5 years, given the rate of adoption, given the level of funding, given the ways in which data ops, ML ops are evolving, I think are going to get us a lot closer to value. And so I'm very bullish, and I think that we're on the tips of it.
Francisco, Chris, thank you so much for those observations and insights. We've burnt through the time even quicker than I expected, which means, unfortunately, we're not going to take questions from the audience. We'll do those after the event. We deeply appreciate our partnerships, both with Deloitte and with Snowflake, who we're so proud to work with on many joint customers. Long may it continue, and thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks, Matthew.
A pleasure.
Appreciate it.